So today, I'm sitting here today talking to Annabel Davis, and hello, Annabel.
Hello. Hi.
Oh, and we're going to talk about how you can reinvent your career. And Annabel, in fact, has reinvented her own career more than once. So I'm going to put you over to Annabel, and she can talk a little bit about what she did early in her career and how she's progressed to what she's doing today. Hi, Annabel, over to you.
Okay. Well, I've really only had two main jobs in my life before this current progression. And I started off as a stewardess. I was with Pan Am, and then I went out to the Middle East for 10 years, so about 15 years as a stewardess. Then came back to England and realized I actually didn't have any qualifications whatsoever. I didn't want a Monday to Friday 9 to 5. And I ended up becoming a police officer for the next 24 years.
Goodness, that's
And
quite a difference, isn't it, between being a stewardess and becoming a police officer? I mean, very, very different sort of fields.
there's some similarities, lots of walking and dealing with drunks. And I went from Pan Am, where I had the blue bowler hat, to a police bowler hat. So I actually didn't change shape in my uniform hat, you see. Method to that.
So did you prefer one over the other? I mean, was there one that you would say of the two that you felt that was your comfort zone, or the one you really enjoyed the most?
No, I don't think you can. I mean, they were both different and similar in many ways, and each one had bad days and good days. So each of them were fantastic jobs, and I'd recommend them to anyone, but no, I don't think I wouldn't take a preference. I mean, I was with the police a lot longer than I was flying, but no preference.
I mean, and the police force is sort of, you think of it as being quite a male industry. Were there challenges for you there in terms of being accepted by your male peers in the police type role?
In the police, there were a lot of challenges because I went in as one of the oldest recruits that they'd ever had.
And how
And
old were you then, Annabelle, when you went into that one?
I'm just trying to think. See, I applied to become a special constable, and then it was at my final interview with the local chief superintendent, and he said, "Why haven't you applied for the regulars?" This was in 1986, so I was 35. And I sort of laughed at him. I said, "You must be joking. Police officers are all about 18 or 19, aren't they?" And he went, "No, we're now looking for people with second and third careers." So he put the idea in my head, and I did. I applied, but it took me 14 months to get to Hendon. And in the meantime, I was a special, which was very, very good grounding, because I got to see what it was like. But then coming out, as a probationer in what was at age 36, I suppose, by this time, it wasn't easy. And I wasn't particularly streetwise, so I kind of had to fight my corner. It wasn't a question of the male female. I think we knew our roles, and we, regardless of how many people want to make us completely equal, like taking the W away from WPC, we will always be different. And there are things that women are much better at than men, and vice versa.
But then you decided to retire from the police force. Did you have a plan in mind when you retired?
The plan, if the plan was not to be tied down to anything. I wanted to go on doing something, but perhaps rather selfishly, I didn't want to be tied down to sort of every Tuesday and Thursday, at set times. I wanted freedom. So we travel quite a bit, and I wanted variety. And this whole modeling acting was really completely accidental. My last 17 years with the police was at Heathrow Airport. And I have a friend who works for Virgin Atlantic, and he was doing extra work. And at that time, he was working on Pirates of the Caribbean. And he said, "You ought to give this a go. It's really rather fun." So I thought, okay. So I did. I signed up with a couple of agencies. I did a few big films. And then really accidentally, I tripped over the term mature. I can't remember what it said now, mature or classic model, somewhere on Google, playing around with my laptop one day. And then that started the modelling side.
Now,
And
I've seen you on the catwalk, Annabelle, on the Models of Diversity show just a couple of weeks ago, and it was a terrific show. And I have to say, you look so elegant in the clothes that you're wearing. I mean, truly inspiring. If people think that they have to dress boringly once they reach 50, 60 or beyond, I mean, there's absolutely no excuse for that. I mean, and that show proved it, really.
I think it did, and I think we've changed. And I know that, gosh, I'm well over a decade older than you, Kerry. But I think I don't know what it was like with you, with your mother, but I did not shop when I was a child, or be taken to shops that were the same clothes shops as my mother.
No, I can't.
You
Well,
know,
I was trying to
and
think.
now I think
I was going to say, interesting though now, my mother is in her 70s, and I think she dresses younger now than she dressed when she was in her 40s, which is quite interesting.
but when she was in her 40s, she wouldn't, I'm guessing she wouldn't have gone to shops that catered for 20-year-olds.
Absolutely not. No, no, no way. Mhm.
And you know, and I do, I'm afraid. I mean, I'm a great believer in dignity. But yes, I'm wearing skinny jeans at the moment, and I think as long as your dignity is there, and you're very aware of the sort of the mutton lamb syndrome. No, why should you not look and feel your best? And those clothes I was given for that Models of Diversity show, they were absolutely fabulous. I had two fantastic dresses, and because I felt confident in them, I think that makes you want to walk with pride. And it's great. That was super, and it was so nice to see you there. It really was.
Thank you. Oh, I was so pleased to be invited to that. And with, I mean, with your modelling though, do you get booked quite frequently? Is it just catwalk shows, or do you do other sorts of modelling as well?
Oh, no, no. I do quite a lot of work on for QVC, for Shopping Channel. I've done hair shows, and at the moment I do the cosmetic shows for Benefit. We get maybe one a month, sometimes two a month for that. And it's a complete variety. There's something called stock library shoots, like Getty Images, Image Source. So those photos you see in the paper. Saturday in the Times, my boyfriend rang me up, and he sent this photo of me, which had been taken for a stock library. You never know where it's going to end up. And it was illustrating an article about how banks were failing the elderly.
Oh, really?
And I mean, these things, sort of, people send you these photos, and you just have a whole lot of photos taken. Could be on a beach with a family, it could be in bed with a chap. I've had photos taken in bed where, you know, someone's snoring or whatever. And then
Presumably not with the bank manager then.
I, I have no idea about it. It was so fun. I hadn't seen that photo before, you know, and so that was, yeah, they can end up anywhere. So I do a lot of stock library shoots, and really it's commercial modeling and commercial acting are completely blurred. So the modeling just drifts into TV commercials. And I think you have to make a distinction here to people who probably just see the term model. There's editorial modeling, which really it's for the young, and that's the famous ones. And then there's proper acting, where you've been to drama school and you have one acting agent. And then in the middle, there's all of us. There's the commercial blob who have lots of agents, and we get a huge variety of work, but it is very blurred.
Do you just have one agent then, with the way that you work?
No, I have several agents. I started with agents for extras, for back work. I haven't done very much of that for quite a while now. I have technically an acting agent, and bless her, I told her at the beginning I'm totally untrained. I don't do accents. What you see is what you get. And she said, okay, you know, let's go for it. And she's got me some lovely jobs. And then I also have modelling agents. So yes, there's several agents on both sides, really.
And the other day when we were chatting, did you not mention you were standing on quite a famous production for a little while and met somebody quite interesting, I think?
It was the one day. It was pre-production, so in other words, the film hadn't actually started to be shot at that time, and it was for Quartet. And yes, I did one day's rehearsal stand-in for Maggie Smith, so that was fantastic. I had to say her lines, and we were in a room in this wonderful mansion in Taplow, just in one small bedroom for a day with Dustin Hoffman. So
Oh, there you go. Well, I'm sure
amazing.
when you're pounding the beat, whatever, in the police force, you've never imagined yourself being, being in that situation.
Never in a million years. In 1999, while I was at Heathrow, I did take part in a documentary about the airport, and that got shown for years later. I think right up until last year, it was being shown, repeated on Dave, the channel. And so that was my first experience with a camera. And I don't think, it didn't encourage me to think, oh, that's what I want to do in future. It was very stressful, that was. But no, never in a million years. And until this chap at the airport said, oh, why don't you give this a go? It never occurred to me, ever. So.
And models of diversity, obviously that's how I got introduced to you recently. Well, I have supposed to be connected on Facebook and Twitter before that, but that was my first experience of actually watching you in action, so to speak. How did you get involved with them?
They found me just over a year ago, and Angel Sinclair, who is one of the co-founders of Models of Diversity, I think they've been going, I may be wrong, probably 6-7 years now. She's not an agency and she's not a charity. It's like a networking club, if you can imagine, organization. And Angel wants to challenge the fashion industry, and she's, in a nutshell, she's saying, you don't need to have models up there who are young, white, and physically able. Let's have a look at other people. Let's have a look at people who are over 21, 25, people who are a size 16, 18. I think at the Ideal Home, we had one girl who was a size 22 who was following me down the catwalk. And also physically disabled models. And I think it was October last year, and Angel found me through Model Mayhem, which is a free online site that you can list yourself on, and asked if I would go to a casting for this show. So I did, and I was selected, and I did her Ideal Home show last year at Christmas, and we stayed in touch, and she's going from strength to strength. She really is. She's doing wonders for the fashion industry. And today, even, I believe she's in talks with a very, very high-ranking top agency who the managing director has finally said, yes, I want to start, thinking outside the box, if I can use such a catchphrase.
Well, I think it is so important though, isn't it? Because let's face it, it's not just sort of 21-year-old skinny girls who buy clothes. We all buy clothes, we all want to wear clothes. And I know one of the biggest issues, certainly our readers say on Fab Up to 50, is they get frustrated when all the advertising, even if they're clothes they themselves would like to buy and wear, but they're shown on very young, skinny models who don't look at all like them. So you can't really relate to the people that the marketing people are pushing our way, really.
No, I absolutely agree, and it's a little bit like the still photos that you get for face cream, and for aging skin, and come off it. These girls are probably 30, 35, and they haven't even got the hint of a wrinkle. But the first catwalk show I ever did was for John Lewis in Oxford Street, and there was the fashion advisor at the time, Michelle Nelson, who really went out on a limb and said, okay, we're going to have a fashion show, but we're going to include 3 older models. And one was her mum, and one was and yes, we had proper models, the young skinny ones there. We had them as well. But it went down so well because if you think of many John Lewis customers, they're like us, or ladies from out in Tunbridge Wells or wherever, and they looked and they could see what I was wearing was possibly something that they might be able to wear as well. And so, done well. And bit by bit, I think the big stores and companies are taking that on board, that you want to actually look at the clothes and you can visualize yourself in them and say, yes, I can relate to her. So we're getting there.
Well, I hope so, absolutely. And from your perspective, Annabel, if anybody was thinking today, can I or can't I go into modelling or acting? Have I left it too late? What would your advice to them be?
No, I don't think anyone's left it too late. I go to castings with women in their 70s, sometimes even 80s. And there is a market, all right, it may be a slim market, but there is a market out there. But I would say Google anything. The one thing is never pay for photographs. If an agency say to you, oh, we think you're absolutely lovely, Kerry. However, can you just go along and see our photographer and fork out £500 and then we'll have some photos for your portfolio. Don't touch them with a barge pole.
Right, you're really trying to make money off taking the photos then and not actually bidding you as a potential model.
Yeah, there's never ever erase and paper photographs. That there are plenty of photographers out there who will do you test shoots. They then expand their own portfolio and give you the photos to use. I've never had to pay for a photo, so don't go down that route at all. And Google, your best friend is going to be Google or whatever search engine that you happen to love. If somebody offers you a job or if you apply for a job, Google them, just look, just make sure it's not, there are scams out there. There's something called a GWC that I had to look up, and that stands for Guy with a Camera. You will get offered, as I did, and it was my choice to say no. Oh, you know, could we have some sort of very tasteful nude shots? It's not me. I'm not decrying it for anyone else. It's the choice you make. But there are some dodgy characters out there. So Google, ask questions. And I think possibly just,
That's
you
my
know,
phone there.
is something that did change with me is hands. Nails. I mean, I've got very old hands, but I mean nails. When you go to castings, for some reason, more often or not, they will take photos of you and they'll ask for your profile and they'll ask, say, hands. They want to see your hands. So if it's for a commercial, maybe you're holding something, or you know, and they'll just see. So have your nails reasonably tidy. But go for it. Absolutely. God, if I can do it, anyone can do it. Believe me.
So this is your third career. Do you have a fourth one in mind?
No, not yet.
No, okay.
But nothing I've ever done was planned. I'm going into the airline world. That was just a spur of the moment thought while I was sitting at the airport one day. The police, I saw a poster for specials. So no, nothing's been planned. So I'm going to stick to this for a while, I hope.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us today, Annabelle. I'm sure it's going to inspire other people to, even if they haven't dreamed it, the fact that stumble upon it and have a go at modelling. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, and thank you for what you're doing with your website. I mean, it's fantastic. It's an inspirational, and let's spread the word. You know, we're still.
Thank you. Here's to being fab after 50 then. How about that?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.